So I hope for that. And I would like to see servers and hospitality workers make a boatload of cash. Would be fantastic to witness that. The Popcorn Moment brought to you by Booher, B-O-O-H-E-R, BooherRemodeling.com. If it's inside your four walls, Booher Remodeling is the call. These are the people, the best materials, the most skilled craftsmen, and ideas aplenty, because I often talk about how you have an idea, they can make it happen. What if you don't? What if you're like, I know we need to do something different. I have absolutely no idea what that different thing is. That's why you want Booher. They've done this. They've done a lot of this, and they've got ideas. They've got an entire gallery they can walk you through. All right, so this is what you said. So here's something like it we did. Here's a little takeoff or something like that. No. What about a little bit more like this? Booher is going to help you figure out what it is you're actually trying to get done in your kitchen, in your bathroom, in your basement, because you know it, but you might not be able to best verbalize it. Booher Remodeling understands. They have done this for over 20 years, delivering quality work on time with a service-oriented attitude. They know how to help you take that idea like that song in your ear and turn it into a reality so you remember the name of the band. That's what Booher can do for you. So let them. Talk to Booher Remodeling today. 317-852-5546. Tell them Tony Katz sent you. 317-852-5546. Booher Remodeling. 852-5546 or online at Booher. B-O-O-H-E-R. BooherRemodeling.com. The Popcorn Moment. Let's go. It's a story you need to hear to believe. Then grab your popcorn, because there is more. There is a lot of lying going on. Of course, there is the lie that you're all talking about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Where were you to condemn political violence when that politician in Minnesota was killed? And what you're seeing now is, here's Trump denouncing this, here's this person denouncing this, here's people condemning it. Of course it was. It was always a lie. It was always they lied from the beginning. ABC News, people in media, politicos, they don't care about the truth at all. They care about political victory, and so obsessed with Trump, as we've seen from the Bartholomew County Democrats and others, no time for facts, logic, or reason. It's hard to show them any respect when they don't deserve any respect. They lie repeatedly. Here is another one from Ilhan Omar, who was on with Mehdi Hassan. So, that cannot have been a great conversation. And never mind, they're like, well, Charlie Kirk supported gun rights, so what do you expect? Right? Those kinds of losers. There was this.
We're running out of time. Michael Hernandez asked a good question on YouTube. He says, in this environment, why would you take away Secret Service protection from the former vice president? Trump happily pulled protection from Harris and, I believe, from people like John Bolton, who I'm not a fan of, but I don't want to see John Bolton killed. He pulled protection from a lot of people he doesn't like. Doesn't sound like someone taking political violence that seriously when it's people he doesn't like.
No, I mean, and that's the thing. It's they are never willing or care to worry about when it's those of us on the other side of the aisle that are getting death threats, that have had their houses shot up, that have had people show up to their homes. They're willing to actually take away the security and the safety of people like VP Harris because they don't mind. They don't mind her getting killed.
Let's stop for a moment. You absolutely sick, twisted, terrible person. The Secret Service protection for the vice president ends 6 months after they're out of office. Vice President Pence doesn't have Secret Service protection. Nothing was taken away. Now, as for John Bolton and Mike Pompeo, I agree their protection should not have been taken away because there's quite literally a fatwa on their head from the Iranians. I think it was wrong. Said so on this show. But nothing was taken from Kamala Harris. It's a lie. And you did not care when Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Democrats in the Senate, was screaming at the Supreme Court, if you go forward with these terrible decisions, you'll reap the whirlwind. You'll pay the price. You won't know what hit you. When you were cheering the intelligence community going after the president, they've got 6 ways from Sunday to get back at you. We allow that in the United States? Fire them or throw them in prison. This is just more absolute nonsense. That's all they've got. All they've got. And then there's this this is Katie Fang, who I guess was a host at MSNBC. I'm trying to remember her, and I don't. I want you to listen.
We cannot be allowed to be cowed into submission by fear and intimidation. That's exactly what the result is that's being sought by people who do not want us to be able to express our First Amendment free speech rights, to be able to express how we feel about things. The one thing we cannot do is we cannot take that and we cannot make it into an act of violence. End of story.
I wholeheartedly agree. I agree completely. I have a video that I posted last night. We'll get it to WIBC.com that discusses just this. The objective in the assassination of Charlie Kirk is to silence anybody who might disagree. I think Katie Fang, though, is trying to take this from the point of view that the political right is trying to silence the political left. As the Chiron reads, far-right response to Kirk assassination raises alarm. What alarm does it raise? Other than there are very violent people out there trying to do harm to people they disagree with. That's the alarm. So if we can agree on that, that's fantastic. But if we're honest, if we are clearly looking at the data, the violence is coming from the left. I agree in Minnesota with the killing of this Politico. We still don't have all the information about this guy, and I think that's weird. But the violence is coming from the left. Going back to Steve Scalise, the violence is coming from the left. You want to point to January 6th? You must then discuss it honestly. And all the people who were invited into the Capitol, who were quite literally walking between the stanchions, those were not violent people. You labeled them violent. Doesn't make it true. People engaged in violence, engaged in a riot, you should throw those people in jail. Same thing is true with Minneapolis and Seattle and Indianapolis and all across the country. Violent riots to which the left said zero, other than, you see what racists we have out there? Businesses destroyed, people killed. They had nothing to say, but, well, the riot is just the voice of the unheard. A total bastardization of Martin Luther King Jr. I agree. You cannot allow acts of political violence to cow you into submission, into fear. You cannot give in to the fear. You cannot be rendered silent. You cannot be afraid. Yet I have stories, and you'll see them in the show sheet, about people being afraid. This is a story about Jeremy Clarkson. You know Jeremy Clarkson, Top Gear? Feels scared to be a newspaper columnist following the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk. For the first time in my life, I'm genuinely frightened about being a newspaper columnist. Malcolm Gladwell told us he didn't stand up to people talking about transgenderism because he was too afraid. You cannot be cowed into submission and into silence. On this, Katie Fang, we agree. You believe this for all political parties. You believe this for all Americans, right? I hope so. Matt Bear's got traffic. What's up, Matt?
Inbound 69 slows